I trusted him with my deepest secrets, shared my pain, my hopes. Until one night, I found the man I called my pastor standing in my bedroom, staring at me in the dark. What happened next will shake everything you believe about trust. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful lady called Sade. She is in her early 20s, enters the dimly lit church, her heart heavy but seeking peace. The stained glass windows cast colorful lights onto the pews as she finds solace in the quiet space, praying silently. She watches Pastor Tunde from the back, admiring his calm demeanor and trusting guidance. Sade approaches Pastor Tunde after the service, hesitant but needing guidance. He smiles warmly at her, sensing her pain. Their conversation starts with small talk but quickly delves into deeper topics of grief, faith, and her struggles. Sade feels a deep connection, convinced that this man will help her heal. A few weeks later, Pastor Tunde invites Sade to his office after a church service. They talk for hours, and Sade opens up about her struggles. Pastor Tunde listens intently, offering comforting words. She feels truly seen for the first time, grateful for his guidance and support. Pastor Tunde invites Sade for tea at his office after a particularly emotional counseling session. She's nervous but agrees, thinking it's a simple gesture of kindness. They sit down, and Pastor Tunde begins speaking more intimately, dropping hints about his personal life. Sade feels uneasy but tries to brush it off. As they talk, Pastor Tunde's words begin to feel heavier, and Sade starts to feel the shift in their relationship. He leans closer, speaking about how much he values her as a daughter in the faith, but Sade's heart races. She tries to focus on the conversation, but something about his proximity makes her skin crawl. As the conversation deepens, a strange sound interrupts their moment. The door creaks, and Pastor Tunde quickly stands, his expression changing from warm to cautious. Sade is confused, her gut telling her something is wrong. He brushes it off, but she can't ignore the unease that now fills the air. Sade begins to notice strange occurrences. She sees Pastor Tunde's car parked outside her apartment late at night, even when he's supposed to be at the church. She tells herself it's a coincidence, but the nagging feeling of being watched grows stronger with each passing day. One evening, Sade walks home from work, only to see Pastor Tunde standing outside her building. He claims to be passing by, but his timing feels too coincidental. She feels a rush of panic, but she doesn't want to make things awkward. The encounter leaves her with more questions than answers. Sade becomes paranoid. She notices Pastor Tunde's car in the same spot every night, and when she looks out of her window, she feels like she's being watched. Her mind races, unable to dismiss the feeling that someone is lingering, waiting. She starts avoiding him, but her anxiety only grows. Sade arrives home after a long day at work, only to find a strange glow coming from her bedroom. Her heart skips a beat as she hesitantly opens the door. There, standing in the middle of her room, is Pastor Tunde. His back is turned, but Sade can feel the weight of his presence. Pastor Tunde slowly turns to face Sade, his eyes cold and devoid of the warmth she once trusted. "I've been waiting for you," he says, his voice low and menacing. Sade stands frozen, her mind racing to make sense of this horrifying reality. The man she once trusted is now a stranger in her own home. Terrified, Sade bolts from her room, rushing down the hallway and out the door. She stumbles through the front yard, gasping for air, as her mind races. She knows she has to get away, but she doesn't know how. The fear of what might happen next is almost too much to bear. Sade calls her best friend, Tolu, her voice trembling with fear as she explains what happened. Tolu listens in disbelief, trying to console her, but Sade feels disconnected from everything. Her world has shifted so drastically that she can't even fathom where to begin in making sense of it. The police arrive and begin investigating Pastor Tunde's presence in Sade's home. As they search for clues, Sade's mind races. She finds disturbing texts and messages from Pastor Tunde, revealing his obsession with her. The man she trusted had been watching her for far longer than she realized. Sade begins to piece together the moments that should have alerted her. His behavior was never entirely innocent, she had been too blinded by her trust in him. As she confronts the truth, she feels a deep sense of loss, not just for her faith but for her own ability to trust anyone again. Sade tries to sleep, but the fear of what might happen next keeps her awake. Every creak, every distant noise makes her jump. She lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she'll ever feel safe again. As the investigation intensifies, Sade's fear escalates. The police discover evidence of Pastor Tunde's disturbing behavior. He had been following her for months, showing up at her apartment and even entering her home. Sade feels violated in every sense of the word. Sade, shaken but determined, makes the decision to take back her life. She reaches out to a lawyer and starts the process of filing a restraining order against Pastor Tunde. It's the first step toward regaining control, but she knows there's still a long road ahead. The police uncover more of Pastor Tunde's past. He had preyed on other women, using his position of power in the church to manipulate them. Sade feels a mix of relief and anger as the truth comes to light. She's no longer alone in her pain. A witness comes forward, another woman who had been manipulated by Pastor Tunde. The woman shares her story, and Sade begins to understand just how deep the pastor's manipulation went. She realizes that he wasn't just a predator, he was a master manipulator, using his charm and trust to gain access to vulnerable women. Pastor Tunde is arrested, his actions finally coming to light. As the police escort him out of the church in handcuffs, Sade watches from the back. Her heart heavy but relieved. This is the beginning of her healing, of reclaiming her faith and her life. Sade attends therapy, trying to piece together the fragments of her shattered faith and self-worth. It's not an easy journey, but she's determined to heal. She meets others who have been victims of similar betrayal, and together, they find strength in their shared experiences. As Sade reconnects with her faith, she learns to trust again, this time, on her own terms. She no longer relies on anyone to define her connection to God. She finds solace in prayer and in herself, her heart slowly opening to the possibility of true healing. With time, Sade begins to rebuild her life. She starts a support group for women who have experienced similar betrayal, using her story to empower others. Her journey isn't over, but she's stronger now, knowing that she's not defined by what happened to her, but by how she rises from it.